Good morning, WWE Champions Universe. It is Lee Brown and IronSheik84. I don't know which way to point,
I
but
know,
it's
right?
one of these.
Who's
And
that one?
filling in for us is me, IronSheik84, and as always, we got Lee Brown, and we're going to talk some WWE Champions action.
What's up, Fish Can't Swim? What's up, CM Punk? Sheik, it's been a little while. Tell me what's been going on with you because I am seeing a whole new world behind you right there. Also, I promise I won't sing anymore.
So as y'all can tell, you're like, hey, this isn't the bedroom or your media room. What what's with the different setup? So I actually closed on a house on July 25th. So this is my new home. I don't have a green screen or anything, but you know how houses have like that little computer nook where you can set up a PC or whatever. This is it. I have been busy with house stuff, as y'all can imagine. So I haven't had a chance to actually like test this out. So this is the first time that I'm streaming
Nice.
or doing anything video wise. And maybe I'll get a green screen eventually. So of course you can see my part of my kitchen in my living room here. But yeah, things have been going great. We got everything unpacked. The only thing I need to do is figure out what I'm going to do with my video games and the boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of video games. And then
Nice.
we're just kind of, my girlfriend and I are in the design phase of like, oh, we want to put some artwork here, we want to put a table there, we want to put a plant here, etc., etc., etc.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome. And I can only see this much of your kitchen or whatever that is, but it looks beautiful. I love the open concept, so it looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we're going
Thank
to
you very
talk
much.
a few things today, Sheik. I think you understand hype better than I do. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to have to refer to you. Usually, Rusty's the one who's like, "Lee, what does this mean? What does this do?" I think I'm going to have to get some thoughts from you. So Sheik, tell me first off, do you like hype? And then what does it mean? What is hype now that we're 2 weeks into it or whatever it's been?
All right. I know we talked about this really shortly before we started the stream. So the very short version of it. Do I like hype? Yes, with the butt.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So to kind of expand on it, like I said, just to give the short soundbite, yeah, I do like it. So being, like I said, just being busy. I didn't attend the AMA, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, I didn't see Merrick's video, even though it was on YouTube. Just between work, the kiddo, and the move, it just really didn't happen for me.
Right.
Um, I will say that I did figure out like kind of how hype works,
Okay.
probably within like maybe 5 minutes of actually playing it in the game.
That's better than
But
me.
you also have to factor in that you're talking to like an almost 9-year player of the game who plays it at a high level.
Right.
Uh, the Like I said, I like the fact that it adds more strategy to the game. I like the fact that they introduced that speed tour
Mm-hmm.
to get us a bunch of freebies, so you didn't have to spend. Now, what's going to happen after this month? Who knows? Is it going to be included in milestones? Is it going to be included on prize walls? That'll remain to be seen. Like I said, I like the fact that it adds, like I said, just another layer to the game, making it more complex. And just adding to a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say I don't like about hype, and I know we can probably go a little bit back and forth, whenever whenever I ask,
Right.
whenever you get add in your thing. Um, Look, the decision to add it right before a feud,
Oof.
uh, here's the, I wish that they had given us a week and maybe some beta tours to try it out on.
Yes.
And I'm not talking, and the thing is, like just like a 1 week tour, kind of like whenever they have certain uh, whenever they would do like the trial tours. I forgot what it was called, but basically
Yeah.
remember like with Zombie Aleister Black,
I
and
loved that. Yes.
yeah, yeah, it was always fun. And I'm not talking about they, it's like they could have made like say just a simple like three
Tutorial.
node tour, and then had it on there and said like, hey, we're gonna give away a mega for hype up your characters, try these out, and and I mean, and also they didn't need to have like give away like 400 million coins and 30 36-star gold tokens or anything. But they could have just had it to be like, hey, like we'll give you like 10,000 coins or whatever, but just so you could try it out, we can see how it works. You can figure out like, hey, in this situation, this is how it's going to go. In this situation, this is how it's going to go. This is how you're going to test it out. If you want to test it without a character with hype, test it with a character with hype,
Yeah.
and then that way you have a better understanding rather than kind of bumbling through it during feud. Because I know a lot of my faction members, and again, like with us being in a top 20,
Right.
I had quite a few people who were like, "Hey, we can't figure this out," and then in the middle of feuding and trying to get our feud score, telling people, "No, no, no, this is how it works. This is how you have to do it," and
Right.
like taking time away. And then, of course, you can always go into the red ring situation and then having to figure out what caused that. Which
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all figured out. Did you figure out what made it happen?
No, I mean I saw some chatter in the CC chat that we have with some of the behind the scenes people, and I don't, honestly, this last weekend was so crazy for me
Yeah.
that it was just, well, sorry, that weekend I should say, because this last weekend was yesterday, but that last weekend with feuds was so crazy, and yeah, it was just trying to get some things. My family had been out of town. They visited Oklahoma, where my wife's from, and they had just gotten back in town on Friday. So trying to get everything like corrected, figured out, and then this week is back to school for my kids. So honestly, like I've missed a lot of the stuff. I did dive in a little bit on the AMA. I did a few things, but to be honest, yeah. Note number one: if there was one thing I would change about hype, do not freaking drop it on the most important mode in the game weekend and be like, hope you figure it out, guys, because we had some rage quitting in our faction. Like, I don't know of the game, but like that was probably one of our worst showings for feud for a top 20 faction as well. And oof, it was rough. Like I even went in, like all 6-star gold. I think it was the males. It might have been the females when for that flash feud. But I had like the new Kyrie. I had the new, like I had all the top stuff. And I literally had to quit one faction feud match because somebody already had all level 2s and 3s. And I literally couldn't get started. Like everybody I went in with got beaten instantly. And so
Yeah.
my feud partner had one tier 3 or hype level 3, and so he was able to clear him out. But I got stomped. So it was weird. I didn't figure it out right away like I had hoped I would.
Well, like when I was talking to you, it took me like when I said it, I was like, oh, I figured it out in about 5 minutes or so.
Right.
So I know they probably explained this. So part of the reason why there was so much red ring loading,
Okay.
by the way, so if you went into a match and
Oh,
like let's just say like you had a level 3, like let's just say you
right.
and I were feuding, which has happened before.
Yes.
uh, you had a level 3 and like let's just say I had a level 1 and you had a character that would have knocked me out turn 1.
Right.
The reason why it was red ringing was because the game was already figuring out, oh, Sheik, your character is going to automatically lose against Lee's character, so
Right.
it wouldn't even load the match because they figured like it's it's like there's no point to it. So
Right.
I don't know if that was kind of relayed around because
Yeah.
it's like I couldn't figure that out, and then what I did was there was one match where. I survived a like a round, like it's like I couldn't kick out but I had enough health left, and so what happened was is I went back in with one of my other characters and then like I said red ring, red ring, red
Right.
ring. So when I went back in and added 2 - MP
Hmm.
trainers, it allowed it to load, and I was like, oh, that's
Oh.
probably it.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
I know they
That's right. I
fixed
did
it.
know that.
Yeah, I know they fixed it mid match or mid feud, but Like, yeah, that was a huge source of frustration, not only for me but for a lot of my faction mates as well, and also just the chatter on the discords and
Right.
Reddit and everything. Not a lot of people were happy about it.
Yeah, yeah. Rusty said at one point he was like, "Why didn't they just make this the focus of the new MLC? Like we were this close to the new MLC, just let hype drop with the new. We didn't know what it was. We was going to be beach themed or whatever, but let it drop with the new beach MLC instead of faction feud. And my goodness, yeah, it was." So it seems like you understand hype already better than I do. Like for me, it seems like once you're going level 4 hype versus level 4 hype or whatever, 3 versus 3, everything just kind of does it not just balance right back out to what it was? It's like only
Yeah,
changed when there's difference in hype level, right?
yeah. Well, you see, and one of the things I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around, which uh, is like, okay, like when like we're facing each other, I'm hype level one, or I mean, even in the showdown. So
Yeah,
like, I face
talking about
somebody,
that.
they have hype level one, I have high, male is hype one, female is hype one.
Right.
My male is hype one, my female is hype one. There, you don't have a class advantage, I don't have a class advantage, but how are you still
Right.
going first turn when
Right.
it should all be equal?
Yeah.
So I mean, like trying to figure that out. I mean, I'm sure everybody's still kind of in the mix of how does that work out. Um, I mean, I will tell you, in those situations, I just did a reroll, and I was like, I'm not even gonna this. I'm just
Right.
gonna, I'll just face somebody who I can turn one, call it a
Right.
day. Um, but yeah, like I said, I mean, I know we talked about like what we like. There is one other thing that I wanna talk about.
Okay.
And it is gonna like pertain into Steel Cage as well.
Ooh.
So far we've seen hype in a feud, we've seen hype in a showdown.
Right.
I don't know if it's ever going to be implemented into tours or if it's ever going to be implemented into like Gauntlet Blitz.
Right.
The one thing that I will say I'm a little hesitant about, I hope that Scopely kind of pumps the brakes before they do this. Some of the Steel Cage matches, you'll admit, like they're rough. Even when you have the bells and whistle, the
Yeah.
newest character that does 700 million damage turn
Right.
one, and one of the things that I've always talked about, which I know I joked around with you about power rating.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times people are like, oh hey, who's the best character in the game?
Right.
Well, the thing is that characters are only the best when they have
All the
the right
things.
belt, medals, trainers,
Yep.
gear, moments, etc. Right?
Yep.
So when you have a steel cage match and you don't have your belt and your moments and this and that, it's like it's like your 700 million characters now hitting like 15, and then you're like, well, this is supposed to be the newest best character. What's going
Right.
on?
Right.
Um, Pertaining that into hype, I really hope that if hype gets implemented into a tour, that they don't have a situation where you have a character and you have no entourage, no moments, no belt, no gear,
No hype.
and you're, huh?
And no hype. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like no. Here's where the hype comes in:
Oh, okay.
is that it's like where you have all that, and then they have no restrictions on entourage, gear, and they're hype level 10, to
Whoa.
where basically you can't, like, you literally can't do anything, like, and I hope that, like I said, I just hope that they kind of like they don't make it to where it's, I don't want to say the word impossible, but no amount of props or whatever can can stop you. And it just, for me, that would just lead to a bunch of frustration,
Right.
that hey, I can't hit a milestone because this person, I'm having to face hip hop Cena with this 1 MP move with 100% damage trap, 100% gem damage,
Right.
and I'm having to use a low tier character that I can't, and I can't even put him in a stun loop because boom, he's hype level 10, turn one, I can't do anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Does hype go to 10? I thought it stopped at 5 right now. I don't know.
I'm like, okay, well, let's just say five. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I again, like for my role in the community, I definitely don't understand hype as well as I should. So it's great that you're stepping in and talking with it. All right, so let's go. What do you like about hype? What do you not like about hype? What do you want to see changed? And we'll kind of trade off on these.
Well, like I said, I like hype because it adds a new layer to the game. Now I know some people might not like hearing this, but it's one of those things that I kind of find funny is you have and again I just want to say I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying it's everybody, but you have a group of players in the game.
Mm,
This game is boring. It's the exact same thing every single time. Two click wins, things that like it's like it's like feuds are boring, showdowns boring. I'm getting sick of the game. And then you add like a new you add steel cage,
yeah.
you add hype. Like, why'd you change the game? I hate this. Why didn't you just leave it alone? I'm sorry, you don't get it both ways. Okay, you don't get to say that the game, that the game is boring and you want it to change, and then when it changes, you're like, hold on, why change it? I wanted to keep it the same way, you know.
Right.
Uh,
No, I agree. We have addressed this in the past, and it is absolutely true. And this is not just this game. Trust me. Any organization I've ever been a part of, anything like people want change that they want. Like they want the change that they initiated. If somebody else initiates change, it's like, whoa, change. And unless you do it like incrementally, like which takes forever, it's gonna happen this way. And I agree. Like in order for the game to continue, so like for example, Will Breaker made the comment in here, if they had just gone 7-star, we wouldn't have had to deal with some of this. And I'd say yes and no. 7-star, and I made this comment on a previous video, but just to reiterate real quick, when 6-star, from 5 to 6, when 6-star first showed up, I was at a very different level in the game. I was not spending near as much as I am, and et cetera, et cetera. I was not in a top faction. And I remember going into those first few feuds after 6-star came out, and we called it hitting the 6-star wall. It was just like, hey guys, sorry, I can't fight these guys. So hope you can. Otherwise, like, there were times where we just straight up let the timer run out because neither of us could freaking beat a 6-star at that point. It feels like we're back to that in some ways, but at the same time, it's not just 7-star. Like I am still trying to figure out, okay, how does the damage enhancement work if you're hype level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But theoretically, 7-star either would have been a move towards move damage for a while and then back to gem damage because it always goes back to gem damage, or it just straight up would have been another gem damage. But like when we went 6 gold, we doubled damage, at least gem damage,
mm-hmm.
and we 2.5'd health. So functionally, it was the same exact thing, except for you did a little bit less damage overall. So going to 7-star probably would have been, I don't know, thoughts on that before we move back into your what you like, what you don't like. Would it have been the same thing, or would 7-star have been different?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, obviously, I do agree with you. Going to 7-star, it kind of depends on how it gets implemented. I guess would be the right way to say it. Um, so like I said, I've been playing the game pretty much from the beginning. So my experiences of the game have changed so much since my original the original time I played the game to what it is today. Like I can tell you that all my characters are 3-star or 3-star silver because 3-star gold tokens were only given away to first place, which Grim Creepers always had,
Yeah,
or WWE or WWE Execution
execution.
or EX or whatever it
Yeah,
is. Um, and then also blame Calvin for Farmageddon. Thank you very much. uh, but yeah,
nice.
and then when 4-star came out, I started seeing like, oh hey, they're actually giving away tokens. And I know I've talked about this in the past. The game, whether people want to agree with this or not, Scopely gives out so many free things and gives people the ability to
Yeah,
go to 6-star at 6-star gold that they never used to.
right. I definitely
So
agree with that.
now, obviously, if you're a paying player, you're gonna skip ahead
Right.
so much further. I mean, that's the way it is in anything.
Right.
But
But
that being, I'm just saying. But sorry, I'm not trying to stretch this out for no
no, you
reason.
keep going. You're
When
good.
six-star, yeah, when 5-star gold came out, I will tell you they gave out so many free tokens. I was just taking. I was like, you know what? You know, this character, I'll make a 5-star gold. I don't care. I got like
Right.
40 of these tokens. Go ahead. When 6-star came out, I feel like I had the opportunity to take people up to 6-star gold.
Right.
Um, but I kind of had to be a little more selective in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then a 6-star silver and 6-star gold have come out. You know, like I feel that I can take any character that I want. Now the thing is that could I take like 40 people up? No, but you know, if I wanted to take like a handful of my best characters, I could, no problem.
Right.
Now, but then again, like I said, you're also talking to somebody who like grinds and you know, in a top 20. Again, I do take that into account that sometimes my circumstances may be different than other people's circumstances.
Yeah.
But with 7-star, if they had released it, what I would have figured is that we would have seen kind of the same thing that happens whenever a new tier always comes out. You would see that 7-star bronze Hall of Fame Undertaker, Sergeant Slaughter,
Right.
DDP, China, all that, and then you maybe would have gotten enough tokens to say take one or maybe two people up, and then of course the pay to play, the pay to play players, the whales, the dolphins, the minnows, all those terms, they would have like the 5, 6, 7, 8 dozen. Ed would have had a whole new opportunity to take up people during his talent ups.
Right.
And then, and then maybe in the coming 2, 3 months or something like that, then you would have seen the other players kind of start bringing up like the onesie twosies every single talent up.
Yeah. Yeah. So something you hit on that before we leave it too different. This last, I guess, 2 weeks was like a really eye-opening. Oh, this is different now, because not that they're new characters, but the fact that they sold Tech Charlotte Flair and Jacob Fatu for $20 and $25 respectively at like 6-star silver levels, give or take, like averaged. I was like, that is like, if you had told me you were going to get Jacob Fatu for $20, I mean, when he's still arguably one of the best acros in the entire game, I'd have been like, they'll never do that. That's a $4,000 character or whatever they consider their real monies on these. Tech Charlotte, like, still one of the best females in the game. You get the green Piper plate, she literally hits for $500 million without trying. I mean, like that level of character for $20 in game when they used to sell for $20 like 5 shards of Carmelo Hayes. That's different. That's a new. I mean, I get that they're a year plus old. So, but Merrick's has been saying for 5 years, like once a character's a year plus old, like just sell them for a discount and let them be more common. And the fact that they've got Braun Brecker finally on the prize wall and then sold him for $25, like this seems like a different tack. The new characters are still super expensive, but never before. Like, yeah, I mean, I would have imagined 5 years ago they'd have still sold a Dean Ambrose for $30 or $40 that wasn't even in the possibility of being in the meta anymore. But that's just my thoughts. Who knows?
Well, no, I agree with you. I'll tell you right now. I understand that not everybody has the ability. I get that, but I completely agree with Merrick's. I think those fantastic, and if you had the disposable income to get it,
Right.
I think I use Jacob Fatu all the time. I actually, yeah. So I mean, like, and the thing is that like you said, he's still one of the top acrobats, and plus he has both his offensive
Yeah.
setup and his defensive setup. So
Right.
I think he's perfectly fantastic, and I use Charlotte all the time too. So I thought it was great that they not only sold the character, but they threw some pulls in there too.
Right? Well, that's the other thing. Okay, yeah. So functionally, if you want to look at it that way, you're getting the character for free if you were expecting just to pay $20 for 7 pulls anyway. And it's not like you're getting Hall of Fame Sergeant Slaughter. You are getting Jacob Fatu. Like if they keep doing that, or like the month where they did Viscera brand new for $100, like they're experimenting with some things where I'm like, wow, that's that's a much more generous Scopely. Just say. All right. So one thing I like about hype, I like that they've done character specific hype up and wildcard hype up. At first, I was like, what is this? I don't get it. But it does, like, I do get a weird amount of joy. Like, Talent Up is going to be in a couple hours. That'll be probably the last video I do before I go to my daughter's back to school. I have some Talent Up moves, hype wise, that I would never touch with anything else. But I'm like, sure. I mean, I've got 50 Bushwhacker Butch shards. Why not make him level 3 hype all of a sudden? But then I have the ability to choose my own adventure with some of the wild hype. And the fact that they are doing the daily speed tour, it does still feel like they're ramping into hype more quickly than they did 6 stars. And just to remind people, for historical perspective, when you went to 5-star, literally 3 to 4 months into it, some people still didn't have a single 5-star. Maybe one, 3 to 4 months later. And I would say there's a good portion of the community, yes, pay to play, but also free to play, that already have at least one hype level 2, maybe even hype level 3, even if it's not necessarily their favorite character. But again, that's the way it was before. You mentioned it, you took whatever random Hall of Fame person you could up just so you could have a 6-star or a 5-star. And as somebody said in the chat, maybe they switched to regular tokens on a Hall of Fame just to avoid that in the future, so you can't just magically make everybody a 7-star. I don't know. Thoughts on all that before you give your next one, Cheek?
Well, yeah, on the Hall of Fame tokens, by the way, I think they could have finally given the gold tokens like an actual talent up.
Right. They literally never did.
What is it? The credit for it.
Right.
I, I made a small video about it. I only shared it on Discord, but have you ever seen the John Cena biking clips?
No.
So there's this parody movie about bike racing,
Okay.
and I know this is a PG podcast, so I'll keep it clean.
Thanks.
But you can look it up on YouTube. It's so they have like this photoshopped thing of where like John Cena is like super skinny with his head on like a little shrimpy body,
Okay.
and then he's on a bicycle, and then you show him like it's like, and there are allegations of him using steroids, and then of course you see him like with his burly muscles,
Right.
and he was like and then he basically he's at a news conference, and he's like it's like people the joke is they say Gustav cannot ride fast, but I can ride very fast. And they it's like, so it's supporters like, Gustav, can you ride fast? And he goes, blank you. He's like, next question. So the next reporter asks it, and he's like, blank you too. And then and then the interview cuts off. So what I did was I included my own voice clip. Can we use gold tokens during a talent up? So I just went to the Cena saying blank you to that. Battle.
Oh no.
But yeah, I like with Hall of Fame. Like, look, there's the Hall of Fame characters are always they're with the exception of like what JBL and
Right.
Farouk. I mean, what Hall of Fame is really that fantastic? Whenever a new star level comes out,
Hall of Fame
swapped it
Macho.
out with normal. Huh?
Hall of Fame Macho, Kurt with Moment, DDP with Moment, Farouk, and JBL. Those are the ones that come to the mind. I'm probably
Yeah,
missing one, but yeah, there's like 5 that like, and I mean Hall of Fame Triple H with the Piper on
yeah.
him is still in there, but
Yeah, but like I said, but that being said, like I would have left in the same. That's just me. Um, but then again, I know a lot of people didn't, or were always like, "Oh, I don't want the gold tokens." I
right,
always had plenty.
right,
And then, by the way, I know I didn't mention this as like one of the things I didn't like about hype, but I know it seems like every single time that I've ever been on the podcast, I always say communication, communication, communication. So,
yeah,
yeah. So the thing is that like hype, like you said, it's like hype kind of came out of nowhere and then dropped on us with like really not much, on a feud weekend. And then the same thing with like the hey, we're switching the tokens, but then they didn't tell people when they were going to switch the tokens, and they were like, well, had I known that, I would have like I would have just moved up my characters ahead of time.
Right.
And then you'll have to forgive me because, like I said again, I know times with the house move and work and everything. Have they actually given us like the compensation or the you see that's the other
No.
thing too is like one of the things that I would have like again communication if they had said like okay for every 6-star token we'll give you this token either 1 for 1 or 2 for 1 or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And then give people like just be like hey we're gonna do this in 3 weeks, you know, figure it out and go from there and then let people make their to choose whether they move people up or didn't. I mean I probably would have just to be like I'm going to use my tokens, had I known that that they would have made the change and not given us the exchange yet, but another topic for another day I guess.
Sure, sure. No, I think that's fair. I mean, that's something in the chat we were just talking about there too. And I mean, why not? Why not show? Or like, it'd be great. Today is the first talent up of this MLC. Why not just
Sure.
make it today or whatever? But yeah, not having a communication path. We broke. Into some of the commentary on like, hey, the communication's changing. There's not blogs anymore. Now there's, kind of a summary. There's some stuff in Discord. There's stuff in game. So it is kind of a little different. Now, I don't play a lot of other games. In fact, for the longest time, I played zero other games aside from this. But when I have played some different games, um, yeah, like I've got a time waster that I just use every once in a while. That's like you spin a circle around and it like sucks things into a hole, and like they don't ever tell you anything about what's going on in the game. It's just log on and play the game or don't. But I think I think there's a different level of like my little hole in the ground moving around versus like I'm planning an entire roster strategy around this, especially with hype and especially with whatever. It would be great to know. It would be great to know. Anything you don't like about hype? What's your I wish I would change this if I coulds?
Well, I know I touched on this briefly, like dropping it right before a feud. I wouldn't have done that. I mean, but
Right?
I'm not going to rehash something I already talked about.
Sure.
Um, I guess just a little more. Like I said, I don't know. Anything I could say that I don't like about it at this point is just stuff that I just already mentioned. Is like I wish there was a way to have like a better hype calculator or something to
Right.
figure out, uh, like why when it's like if it's not 1 for 1, then how do you figure out which one it is rather than having to just do trial by error and
Right.
you know, leaving a lot to like figure out on our own. And then I don't know, does the portal have anything on the hype on like figuring out hype yet or not?
I don't, I don't know. I haven't like again played around in there. Merrick's video is probably the best source right now for
Yeah.
figuring out where hype is. And so, as always, we love Merrick's. Go watch that. We're not going to just rehash his thoughts. Just go watch his. He does a great job. But it is still confusing to me in the sense that yeah, it just raises like when it says, okay, you go up 1,000 on your damage value, but it doesn't say what does that actually do to move damage, gem damage, what like it doesn't actually translate that to something real. I just know like we had some conversations, behind the scenes with the CC team about like should our CC accounts have full hype or not because like we'd go from like trying to do a preview but they're all hype level 4 or 5 whatever, that throws everybody else off, so don't make our characters hyped yet but we do need to show hype on other like so even behind the
Yeah.
scenes with some of the CC stuff it's like I don't know if I should be requesting hype for my candy store account or leave it off because one, I don't know how to translate it. Like it's easy when, like for example, doing the video for Julia this month, I was able to claim her gear, for my CC account. I was able to just grab her gear because we get that sent to us, and it was easy to just say, look, her gear is 4 MP to all colors, so all I have to do to nerf this is just put a trainer on, and boom, it's here's what she's like without the gear, here's like what she is with the gear. But with hype, once they take our CC accounts to full hype, there's no going back. But I also don't know how to translate, like, oh, this is what damage this level of hype is adding, or yeah, just right now, all I understand is hype equals go first. That's all I've got at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, there is one thing that I actually just thought about real quick too
Sure.
about what I don't like about hype and I would change. Uh, uh, the visual
Yes.
that is on the roster screen
Oh my
now.
gosh, it's so much.
I would have just liked having that one circle in the left hand side of like
Yes.
zero hype. And then maybe if you wanted to put like a little green, like you know how there's like the arrows of like, oh, still max a character or whatever.
Right.
If they just had like a little circle and maybe just an arrow of like, yes, you can put them up a hype, that would have been fine. My scrolling through my roster, I'm just like, ugh, like that's like this is. It's just it's so much visual garbage.
Right.
I don't know a nicer way of saying it. I'm sorry about that.
No, 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 you're fine. I mean, that is something that we have shared. I should say several CCs have shared with them is like my roster screen just looks like the way I put it is before hype, my roster screen looked like it was inviting me in. It was inviting me to look at these characters, to see what I'm doing with them. The gold border, silver border, like all of it had a good purpose. Now it feels like my roster screen is yelling at me. Like it's just full
Yeah.
yell, like all caps, like look at all this, which I guess fits with hype, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to be. Yeah, so I agree. Either just the little dot in the corner, or if they're gonna like the banners, I've never liked them going across the face, like looking like this when you're looking at your roster. Like I would rather it just be off to one side, or it says max, or like going this way, not right across them. Something,
Yeah.
that would be better than that. I would love to see a visual overhaul and soon. But I'm sure that took them a lot of time, I'm sure, to build, and then they're like, oh crap, people don't like this. Yeah. Anything else you like or would change about hype?
Well, no, like I said, I just pretty much everything that I have to say that can come to mind. I really hope that once we finish this, I'm not like, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this. But in general, like I said, I'm happy with it. I just, it's like there's a few tweaks that can be done, but
Yeah.
uh, like I said, I'm always happy for new things to come into the game because, like I said, just two click boom gets boring
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think kind of ending this conversation with something we said, but want to re-emphasize is every time there's something new in the game, people freak out and say it's the worst thing ever. They're done with the game, and some people do quit. Don't get me wrong, but they, say it's the worst thing ever. They're done with the game, and then in a couple months we're just used to it and like, oh yeah, of course I have 6 stars now, of course I'm using 6 star gold characters. Within 6 months this will be something where you're like, well, of course we use hype, why wouldn't we use hype now? I would say also that the devs have said transparently on the Discord servers publicly, very accessibly, like this is version 1 of hype as well. Like this is a whole new system. Version 1 of hype, meaning that they are going to continue to iterate and tweak it and make it better. And so I would say for what's there, it's a fine start, and it can get better, and I think it will get better. I also think if it had just gone to 7 star, literally all we would have done is gone to a move damage meta for a little while. Then we would have gone back to a gym damage meta, and that's it. Like I think that's all the stars were doing. So I think this does add some different to the game that 8-9 years in, like next February we're going to be doing like the 9th anniversary for this game, which is crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
It needs something
Yeah.
different. How many other games that you started 10 years ago are exactly the same they were as in the beta? I mean, unless they just nailed it right off rip, it has to iterate, otherwise it dies. And I think that's the same
Yeah,
place for Champions. 9 years in, it has to do something different, or the community gets
yeah.
bored.
Oh yeah, yeah, and and just and also just added. I know some people are like, oh, 7 star would have been fine, but
Yeah,
here's the, and I know because I was actually listening to the Is Your Roster Metaproof
yeah.
uh, podcast like somewhat recently. Here's the
Thanks.
thing: even if they went up to 7 star, and like let's just say you go from uh, what is it like? Let's just say roughly like the 80 to
Hmm.
85 million health range. Let's
Right,
just say they double it to 150 million. Well, like my what is it? My bionic redneck Austin still does like 150 million damage.
right,
So it literally wouldn't have changed how I play the game at all.
right,
It's just okay, instead of beating somebody with 40 million overkill, I'm just going to, either I just gonna one click, 2 click boom this person,
right,
or like, I'll hit them for 140 million and with 10 million health, they're not gonna click out. All right, there you go.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Versus with hype, like I have literally hit people for 150 million in feud and then lost because they got up from it. Like, which at
yeah,
first angered me because I was like, what the heck? I
mhm,
just did 150 million. But on the other side of it, again, yeah, it is. If it's a new meta, it shouldn't just be that, oh, yeah, I just did the exact same thing and everything happened the exact same way. Like, it should change. Now, there are going to be some exceptions. Your Muda, your Regal, your Hogan, your Charlotte and Ilya with the green Piper plate are still doing
yeah,
such high damage that nobody is going to survive it. But the
yeah,
fact that maybe if you took Charlotte or Ilya hype 1 versus whoever hype level 3, that they have a fighting chance, it does bring back some strategy into the game. Now, the one thing I would say that is a struggle for my brain at least, is just the fact that once you add in hype, reversals, like this person reverses this person, turn order, all these different things, like it does get to be a little bit of a complex web at times where sometimes I do have to just stare at the feud screen and go, okay, I can't fight Hall of Fame Goldberg with Muda because Muda raises his MP, which is going to cause him to reverse me, which means that, there's a little bit of brain math that I wasn't doing before that has gotten to be more of a creep in the game. But even still, I'd rather that than just knowing I was going to sit there and just go, I won, I won, I
yeah.
won, and I'm not even
Well,
paying attention.
yeah, and I know we talked about the mental gymnastics, but here's the thing: is that yeah, it's going to be rough for like what, a month or two, but then you just like you mentioned before, month three, month four, month five, 6 months in, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, this person, oh yeah, they reverse traps. Don't use this person, use this person, and then it just comes second
Right.
nature.
Yeah.
I mean, like right now we're in the crawling phase of hype,
Ooh. Keep going. That's a good
and
thought.
yeah, and in the next few months we'll get to the walking phase, and then maybe 6 months start running.
Interesting.
And then the growing pains of what's going on right now will be like, oh yeah, I was complaining about this 6 months ago.
Right.
Because I mean, like, here's the thing: when medals and belts came out, I had a bunch of people who were like, these are stupid. Like,
Yep.
why do they add these? And now everybody's like, and now they're invaluable, and it's second nature of like, oh hey, this person makes 24 multiplies, my 150 gem medal goes on them.
Yep.
Like before, a lot of people were just like, he hits 20 million, and without a belt he's fine, I don't care. And
Right.
it just becomes part of the meta. It just takes, like I said, it takes time, and people need to give it a chance before they poo poo all over it.
Agreed. I agreed. And they did say before that this is something that would make some older characters more relevant again. And we have seen, I mean, check out Sir Zoro's videos. Yes, they're tied more to the Snowfall plate that I haven't touched yet. I will, I promise. But still, I mean, like, you've got some characters that, like Powerhouse Braun Breaker, with some of the new stuff in
Mhm.
the game, that before it was like throw him away, he's horrible, and now it's like, well, actually, if you've got these now it does take 5 things, but these 5 things, he's like one of the best powerhouses. Or Kaiser, Ludwig Kaiser, things like that, where it's just like, yeah, actually with a few things they're good. And I think that allows some people to craft some stuff that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's all about. I didn't have any. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so Sheik, you are going to make a hype video for your channel, and I want you to hype your hype video and let people know where you can find that. Because if anyone other than Merrick's can make the this is the hype video, it's Iron Sheik. So
So yeah, as always, it's like on the socials, on YouTube, on Twitch, you can find me at IronSheik84. So yeah, I'll probably, there's gonna be some things here that may, I'm gonna add some video and whatnot to what I have. But yeah, I will make my own blurb about how I feel about hype, and just, maybe throw in a pointer or two and tell people, how to more effectively use it, hopefully.
absolutely. Well, cool. Well, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you, IronSheik84, for guest hosting once again. I always love getting to talk with Sheik. And we're going to stay on the stream for a few minutes and figure a couple things out. Slim Numbers is going to hop on with us in a bit. Sheik might have to go back to work. We're going to do some shuffling of the deck. But for those who are watching on YouTube, make sure you follow IronSheik84 on Twitch and on YouTube. Give them like, subscribe, all those things that YouTube land does. And we will see you on the next one, friends. Bye.